Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha, Jai Ganesha. Please visit our website at classicalyoga.org, and there is a donate button if you would like to help us out. And please stand up for the Hindu, yoga, religious, spiritual, scientific, philosophical lifestyle. Today's podcast, Bottoms Up, from Muladhara to Svadhisthana. Bottoms up, cheers, kampai, to your health, salud. These are all exclamations of people getting together, perhaps for their evening cocktail, their time at the pub, their time sitting around a sacred fire, perhaps, as the inherent need for human beings to transcend. Transcend the everyday or sometimes mundane experiences of daily living. It seems concurrent with being a human being that we have always sought these moments of transcendence. Certainly that's the reason why we sleep, as we literally go out of our body and mind and emotions into the mystery of the no-thingness from which we awake again. But in our daily life, it's clear that from children, we seek this altered state of being, if you will, a transcendent state of being, from laughter and spinning around till we get so dizzy that we fall down, or the ubiquitous love of sugar, which automatically takes awareness into a high state of experience, emotional experience. And then later on, we may use the various enes, caffeine or nicotine, all stimulating the chemical factory within, the endorphins. Some then also utilize spirits of various kinds. It's interesting, isn't it, that liquor is called spirits. Then there are those who, through their religious spiritual endeavors, seek to tap into the inner spirit, perhaps with or without the use of any external substances. Whatever the case, the inherent need for transcendence has always been there and will always be there. Hence, when one understands, using the English word religion, religio, to link, to tie, to bind together, one understands this is an inevitable process. Even popular, if you will, atheists like Christopher Hitchens, etc., constantly had a need for transcendence in their use of alcohol and cigarettes, nicotine. And even in the religions of the world, many times, hopefully in a controlled way, various substances are used. Wine, for example. In the Hindu yoga dharma, we have the mysterious soma nectar, which was a drink or perhaps an herb, or a combination of both. But it also represents the soma or nectar within, because after all, are not all of these experiences found within the human mind and emotions? Look into a glass of wine or spirits, or a cigarette, if you will. There's no bliss there. There's no happiness there. These are used as catalysts, yes, but the bliss and the happiness is always resident within us. The very foods that we consume, starting with breath. Deep breathing can energize the entire being. But those who have been without food for a while know that when one encounters then a food, especially a lot of protein, one feels a supercharged energy. Our awareness is actually going from the bottom up. This is the Hindu exploration of the natural centers within all of us, the chakras. So this need for transcendence, for legitimately getting high, if you will, has to be handled obviously with great care, because this endorphin experience these experiences of the chemical of dopamine can turn into unhealthy addictions. We can be addicted to too much excitement, too much pleasure, too much sugar, too much alcohol. And all of the spirits actually are increasing the alcohol, the sugar content, which automatically gets one in an altered state of consciousness. But we know the detrimental effects of too much of any of these things. This is where we want to take seriously and introspectively the saying, bottoms up. Yes, we start at the bottom, but let's go up. And then obviously, because life is circular, we go round and round. This is the understanding of the spiral staircase, if you will, of Kundalini, the ascension, and the descension, and round we go in this circular dance of life. All of life journey begins from the bottom up, step by step, pade pade in Sanskrit, thread by thread, sutra by sutra. As we go from the bottom up, and there are positives, if you will, and negatives to both the bottom experiences and the top experiences. Now, obviously, we're starting with the feet in our human body as we tread the various paths of life. Remember, this was Mr. Miyagi's first lesson to his student Daniel-san. First, you have to choose. Choose the path that you want to walk on. And then we ascend from the bottom up. And remember, also Mr. Miyagi had no problem with once in a while imbibing in a little alcohol, little spirits. And again, in moderation, these things can be very beneficial. So in the Hindu yoga dharma, the bottom or first chakra is the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra. And these are actual areas within all of us, physically, obviously, but also mentally, emotionally, and from a Atma perspective, which is our Hindu word for the soul, if you will, the spirit. It's a bit different because it's not the mind. So starting at the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, we use the word chakra, Sanskrit, for wheel. And remember, a wheel can do several things. It can either not move at all, or go flat, or it can move forward, or it can move backward. Such is the study of our inner energies that we can either use in a very, if you will, positive or healthy, beneficial way, or in a very negative way. Again, all of these substances. A person can have a little evening cocktail, a glass of wine, and have a very fulfilled, blissful experience and very fulfilled life. However, that same glass of wine that turns into a whole bottle of wine, or one puff on a cigarette that turns into a whole pack of cigarettes a day, obviously we've taken something now and turned that wheel in its opposite, and we experience the opposite effects. So as we go from the Muladhara chakra, and we'll do a cursory study, obviously, go to your guru, if you have one, to get a more in-depth study of the chakras, but every Hindu guru should know the various aspects of each of these chakras. There's at least 12 different dimensions to each chakra. But basically, the first chakra is about memory, elimination, knowing who we are. In the transcendent experience, that is what we seek, whether we are really fully conscious of that or not. Getting to know the totality of our being, physical, mental, emotional, and yes, soulful, if you will, Atma to the Hindus, Atma Darshana Paramo Dharma. This is a positive spin, a forward spin of the wheel of the Muladhara chakra, as we remember who we are. Tattvamasi, Aham Atma Asi. The first chakra is at literally the bottom, the anal region. And notice how this term in English can be used in a positive or a negative way. establishing a foundation, a strong bottom, if you will, bottom land, good earth. Or it can be a negative when we bottom out, when we lose our way. Children may get a little spank on the bottom, if you will, when they're naughty. And obviously this gets twisted around in many sexual connotations with the bottom. So the bottom can be a negative focus when one is called a you-know-what, an a-hole. Or it can be a fascination, especially with today's ubiquitous yoga pants. So utilizing the positive experiences of the bottom, the anal region, the Muladhara chakra, we establish a good foundation. And the mystical diagram of the first chakra is a square with 4 lotus petals, representing the wisdom of having first and foremost a solid foundation from which to rise. And in the Hindu yoga dharma, the first chakra is always associated with the beginning of the Om experience, animal, human, divine, and also synonymous with the first primal deity, Ganesha, who was formed from the mud or the earth of his Mataji, Parvati. And the first chakra is about the earth element. And we all know that it is with a solid foundation in any area of life that we truly become successful. It's not a coincidence that around the world, young children go to school. And typically in the West, one goes to school for at least 12 years and then moves on to higher institutions of learning before one ever becomes a professional at anything, which is very bizarre in today's spurious yoga movement, which is prolific, and it actually has zero foundation. Imagine, for example, in becoming a professional, an authority, the meaning of certified, in 200 hours? Clearly, such an attitude is the first chakra spinning in reverse. These people having bottomed out. It's not a coincidence that there is a lot of sensuality connected with this so-called yoga of today. When in fact, those who teach these areas of the Hindu yoga dharma, they're always considered students, brahmacharis, for no matter what else they've done in life. Considered students for at least 12 years. And then times of intensive inner introspection before they ever would assume to be a teacher. Therefore, as we go from the bottom up, we then go into the genital area. And this is the area of logic and reasoning. A positive spin. Negative spin would be illogical, irrational, lacking reason. On up into the third chakra, Manipura, of willpower. And remember, our willpower can be used for goodness or nefarious purposes. The choice is then up to us. We proceed further up on this inner lighthouse, if you will, this spiraling evolutionary journey into the heart of love. Here too, the love can be a very narcissistic love, a self-infatuation, or a more expansive love that embraces others. On up into the purification at the throat, which is why we clear our throat. The Suddha chakra, purification. On up into the third eye point. As we're truly going from the bottom up, bottoms up. When we say that, let's literally do that. Up to the Ajna chakra at the third eye point, which is the mark of a Hindu. That's why the Hindus wear the bindi, the bindu. Puram bindu vajri purushtuttaha. Ancient Bindu Indu Hindu, soulful warrior. It takes a lot of strength to have the energies ascend to the third eye point, the command center, the command glands of the body, the pituitary, the pineal, on up to the fontanella, the very top of the head, the Saraswara chakra, symbolized by 1,000-petaled lotus, meaning the blooming of the enlightenment experience, Gyan Yoga, the Samadhi, the Moksha, the Kaivalya. So just as the foundational chakra, Muladhara chakra, can be misused by not developing a strong foundation, by not remembering who we are, so too the top chakra then becomes a confused existentialist, if you will. One who now believes they are an authority unto themselves. So we can also look at this journey, which we've explored in another podcast, about the 21 levels of human consciousness, the 3 mountains of consciousness that we all need to climb as we go from reactive to tribal to egocentric to conformity and manipulation, sociocentric to the existentialist, and now we think we're at the top of the mountain. But with a little humility, we turn around, if you will, and see, wait a minute, there's another mountain behind this one. As we then purify. And the reactive, as described beautifully by Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, the reactive now becomes proactive. But again, there's a time for the first mountain also. There's a time to be reactive, getting out of the way of a speeding car. But the reactive is now turned into proactive. The tribal is transformed into setting goals. The egocentric nature is the ability to prioritize. The conformity is now win-win. In high-level situations, it's got to be good for you, good for me, so to speak, win-win. The manipulation becomes now understanding. And understanding is humility. It's wisdom. The antithesis of being humiliated. Sociocentric now becomes amplified into synergy as we learn to more and more work together. And instead of being the know-it-all, if you will, using the head in the wrong way, the existentialist, now we realize, wait a minute, we need to sharpen the saw. In other words, we need to go over and over these principles. Which then takes us to the 3rd mountain of consciousness, if you will, fully explored within the Hindu yoga dharma, the chakras we're speaking of in a positive way. So now, we keep all 3 mountains with us all of the time, becoming an expert mountain climber, a Sherpa of enlightenment, if you will, as we take reactive and amplify it into proactive, now into the profound memory of who we are, the Atmana. Tribal becomes setting goals, becomes the power of reasoning and logic, vitarka and vichara. The conformity at the heart, amplified into win-win, becomes the pure experience of love at the Anahata chakra. The manipulation at the throat, which is amplified into understanding, becomes intense purification, tapas sadhana. The sociocentric, transformed into synergy, becomes the deep spiritual perception of prajna at the 3rd eye point. And then the existentialist, humbly sharpening the saw, reaches the stage of end, light, and men, Gyan Yoga. In light we're meant to be. And then into the no-thingness, the Kaivalya experience, the liberation, Purushartha Sunyam Kaivalyam, the moksha experience, the freedom experience, the samadhi experience of calm wisdom. So let your happy hours extend into many hours through the day. The Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali said, Maitri Karuna Mudita, be friendly, be compassionate, and you will be happy. Enjoy this dance of life. Enjoy the things of life. The food, the various experiences of life. But obviously through this learning curve, this sada lolahara of life, as we go from one extreme to the other, perhaps not indulging at all, perhaps overindulging, until we finally find a balance in our life, an equilibrium, a sattvic life. Again, as Mr. Miyagi said, go find the balance. So first choose. Find your way, your many ways in life. Then commit. Stick. And then find the balance that comes from that conscious choice. From those deliberate understandings of your path in life, your sanmarga, your way. And then we will be a blessing to ourself and the world at large. Bottoms up, my friend. Cheers. Salud. May your life be auspicious and relatively peaceful. But remember, peace has to be through justice and strength. And may you have a full life and a life of relative tranquility. But remember, absolute calm is not the law of the ocean. Om Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om. Enjoy living in joy. In other words, take life seriously, but not too seriously. For in the final analysis, we all have to face ourselves, our own BS, if you will, and you know what we mean. And isn't it not interesting that the bullshit comes from the bottom, doesn't it? From the bottom consciousness. Think of how all of our curse words are about the anus and the genitals. So why not go up to the head? Why not think a bit higher? And actually in the Saiva Hindu Dharma, we wear the 3 stripes of vibhuti, seen on the forehead of Mahadeva Shiva. And what is vibhuti? Vibhuti is purified cow dung. And it represents the eradication on an ongoing basis of greed, anger, lust, lobha, krodha, kama. By dana, dayadvam, damyata, by giving, by compassion, by control. So literally, look what we have done. We have faced the BS in our own life and transformed it into vibhuti, or holy shit. So we're not advocating the use of foul language, of course, but next time you utter that phrase, think a bit higher. As we go from untruth to truth and humbly admit our ignorance to an ever more enlightened state of being, tapping into that immortal bliss that's within all of us, the inner essence of Satchidananda. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.